Someone recently said to me that they aren't a big believer in landing pages, specifically for long buying cycles. And it's really interesting, and it's something that we're going to deep dive today and figure out, because there's a lot of nuances in that and we have our opinions. But today with me, I've got Christina joining me. Moby's on leave, so it's the dream team at Red Pandas here today. Christina, welcome.
Thank you, Linda.
So I mentioned in that she was specifically talking about long buying cycles. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't clear, we're also talking about ads. So you're running Google ads or even maybe Facebook ads as well.
Yeah.
Your business has a typical long buying cycle, which we'll go into, like what the characteristics are of that.
Yeah, well, what is a buying cycle?
Yeah, okay, so let's just go straight into it, right?
Let's talk about that.
Okay, all right. So for the buying cycle, we're talking about how long it typically takes from end to end. So for someone to start researching and thinking about a solution to a problem, mm-hmm. and then them actually making the decision to buy.
So you're talking about like top of funnel and then bottom of funnel.
Yeah.
How somebody is kind of researching something, they're not really quite ready to buy, versus somebody who's super keen, they're ready, they know the product, they want to give you their money.
Exactly. Yeah. And so for longer buying cycles, it's typically characterized by a few things. Mm-hmm. So what we've got here, 3 things in particular: extended research period. So they're spending a lot more time researching, gathering information, making a decision. There's usually multiple decision makers or influencers, if you will, mm-hmm. in that decision. And then they're typically high value or complex purchases. That's why it takes people so long.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the demographic that we service, I guess, when we think about our customers.
Yeah, for sure. We're predominantly service-based, and all of these services sell high-ticket items. So this is very applicable to our clients.
Christina, maybe do you want to mention some industries just so people can kind of figure out where they sit on the spectrum?
Yeah, absolutely. So some industries we've been recently working with are development companies. So anybody who develops a commercial or industrial building. We work with people who sell high-ticket items like sheds that go upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wild. Yeah.
Yeah, we have service-based businesses for childcare centers where you're looking at $30,000+ per year in enrollment fees. So these are very large ticket items. I know we work with solar industry as well. I'm not across those clients, but a solar panel installation is not cheap. So a lot of these people would definitely be fitting into this conversation today, trying to decide, is a landing page worth it for me? Or are we going to have people and send them we're going to run ads directly to our website.
Yeah. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. And on the flip side of that, I think, what isn't a long buying cycle, typically it's characterized by, like, I have an immediate problem. I wasn't researching until this problem hit and I need a solution straight away. Mm-hmm. So it's a plumber, for example.
Yeah.
You've got a leak and you need the leak fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like one of those service-based businesses, so somebody who is in construction, trade, somebody who does driveway services, plumbing, like you just said, those are businesses that would 100% benefit from just having a landing page. I mean, working from personal experience, I've worked across those types of businesses in the past, and they actually opted to not even have a website, just a one conversion optimized landing page. And that worked for them.
Yeah.
It's because their services are more low ticket. They're more easy to access. And like you said before, you hit it on the head. Somebody who's looking for these services, they want that. They know what the service is. It's very straightforward. They want a new roof. They want their driveway painted. They want their driveway cleaned. They don't need to do much research into what the product is. So there's lower barrier to entry there. Different buying behavior, 100%.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So I guess let's go into when a website would be a good option. And then later in this podcast, we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to talk about when a landing page makes sense. But to kick it off, I might kind of go over to you, Christina, because you've got some really good examples of recent websites that we've worked with. But point number 1, a website is a good option when it's conversion rate optimized. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because a lot of our clients that come to us, and they come to us for digital marketing retainers, usually their website isn't conversion rate optimized. And it's why we build landing pages, because we know that they have specific goals. They need to hit them within a certain time frame. So we typically send them to a landing page that's easier to build and quicker to build. But Christina, maybe talk about what you've done with Attica and how that's actually working.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing on that, a great quote from you. A landing page is a Band-Aid fix for a business that has a website that is not optimized for conversions. So we do specialize in websites that are optimized for conversions. Absolutely. Every page is well thought out. It's developed in a specific, unique way to kind of guide people along this funnel. We get them to take those desired actions. We educate them where they need to be educated. When they ask a certain question, we know when they're going to ask that question, and we make sure it's answered in a specific page to ultimately get that conversion action. Most web design agencies are not focused on conversions. They're focused on design.
How it looks, yeah.
How it looks. But it's great, but web design or web development is like a beautifully delicate balance of conversions and design. And that's where a lot of agencies miss the mark. So I have a great example actually on a website project we've just done. So as soon as we launched this website, before we even started running paid ads for them, all organic, we saw an 1,800% increase in form submissions from organic traffic. That's wild.
Enough said.
Self-explanatory. That is so crazy. And this wasn't just a quick done and dirty project. This was a 7-month project, a collaboration between us and this business to really, really refine the messaging. You were a part of the project too with Story Brand. There's so many details that go into making sure we get that lead submission.
Can we talk about that? I know we're going to do that at the end, but I actually think it makes sense to do that now and talk about some of the things that, so specifically on a service page on your website, that you would typically include, like what that looks like.
Yeah, for sure. So it could be a little bit similar to a landing page, but it's not as sales focused and sales heavy. If anything, it's more value adding and educating the consumer. So for example, on a service page, within each section, we would actually include a primary call to action, which is quite literally our primary conversion, which is give us your information, contact us. And then we typically have a secondary call to action. And that call to action changes within every section. So I can give you an example. Let's say we're working on an agricultural building, right? We have access to Google Analytics. We're going to jump into Google Analytics, any other monitoring or data software we have, and we're going to pull that user path data. So I can see here somebody who's interested in agricultural services from this client. The next most likely path they're going to take is to the what does the agricultural building cost blog, right? That most of the traffic goes straight from agricultural to cost. Okay, so when we're on the website and we're structuring everything, we know that we want to address cost higher up, right? That's a pain point. So we're going to agitate that pain point, and we're also going to offer that solution in that secondary call to action. So when people go to the service page, we're going to get a lot of traffic to that page. They're most likely not going to buy your product or service, but we want to keep them on the website.
Yeah.
We want to keep them informed, and we want to add that value.
That's a really good point. And I think we shouldn't skim over that, because the job of honestly, any website page, the job of it is to keep someone on your website. Yeah. So you're lacing call to actions throughout your pages. You're trying to add in as many internal links as you can in your content to send them on other pages. The last thing that you want them to do is get to the bottom, hit a dead end, and then click X and go elsewhere. Whereas for a landing page, the main goal of that page is for them to give you their details. Yeah. And they're very two different focuses. 100%. Website, you want to keep them on, whereas a landing page, you want to get their details. Yes. It's really important.
Oh, you hit it on the head there, absolutely. So the way you go about both of those things is very different, and it's going to be specific to what it is you're selling or doing.
Yeah. So on top of that as well, your content on your website page is going to be more informational, educational, whereas your content on your landing page, it's going to be a little bit more direct. It's going to be action oriented. It's going to have very different tone of voice and language. And there are a few differences as well, which you'll typically find from a service page versus a a landing page.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Linda, going back to what you had said in the beginning of this podcast, what your mate told you, right? What's better, a landing page or a website page? We don't have a definite answer, but we have some data from Google Ads that, tells a story in a way. So for example, this website we made that was conversion optimized, we're running ads to the home page, and we're also running ads to the service-based pages. Now, if I were to compare one of those two pages to a landing page, I would say the service page is a bit more closely aligned to a landing page, right? In terms of like what we're going to do. It's very specific about the product or service, whereas the homepage, it's like a pamphlet into the business, you can say. So we looked at the metrics there, and we actually had a higher conversion rate. What was it? I think it was 65% conversion rate running ads to the service-based pages compared to the homepage that had a 30 to 40% conversion rate. Both of which phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah.
And you can only hit those numbers because the website was done with conversions in mind.
Yeah. The other thing there as well is obviously intent, and we're going to talk about like top of funnel versus middle of funnel, bottom of funnel keywords. But the good thing about the service page is you can then more closely align the keywords that you're targeting with the content on the page itself, whereas a home page obviously is going to be a lot broader. It's not going to be as specific to the exact keywords that people are searching. So it definitely makes more sense. And like when you say that, it's a no-brainer, but you'll still see websites or companies, sending people to the home page for service campaigns and not just a brand campaign, which I can't imagine works well at all. So there's two things there that we kind of started to speak on. So there's the fact that, the website has to be optimized for conversions for it to be a good idea. And then the second part, which we're kind of going into, is the keywords that people are searching. So if you're wanting to target and you have a bigger budget and you can target more top of funnel, middle of funnel keywords, it's not where we start, but if you are targeting those types of keywords, then they're typically keywords that people would search in like a research mode, right? They're not actively looking to maybe purchase on the spot or leave their details on the spot.
Yeah.
A website might be a better idea for that, or a service page like Christina was talking about. But it kind of ties back to the fact that they're in research mode. So whatever page you're sending them to, ideally it should allow them to be able to bounce throughout the website and learn about the topic that they're interested in. And that's where a really good learning center comes into play. We know that all consumers search, we call it the big 5 topics, to rattle them off. So you've got comparisons, best, problems, reviews, and price.
Yeah.
And so if they can easily find that information when they're in research mode and they're learning off you the entire time, when they go back to Google and they start to type in those bottom of funnel keywords, then you're likely going to be one of the people that they click on and convert with a really good page.
Yeah, that was some really good insight, actually. I think addressing all 5 of those is so important on landing pages, on service pages, on any pages, really. Stuff them in the frequently asked questions if you can, but you hit it on the head with that one.
Yeah. Okay. Landing pages. So
landing pages.
When do we send people to landing pages? So we kind of spoke about this already, but when the website sucks.
When your website sucks.
When your website sucks, you want a Band-Aid fix. So that's your landing page. We've definitely come across some clients in the past, currently, that want to run Google ads, and we have a look at their website, and there's just no way that we can send ads there because they're not optimized. So Christina, I know you have some examples of this as well.
I've got so many good examples. Okay, let me think of the first one that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to redact the name of the client and the industry, but so I can talk a little bit more openly. But there was a client, and their website was, for lack of better words, not good, horrible, pretty bad. So we were sending people from the ads to the homepage because the other pages were just not acceptable enough. They lacked information. They lacked call to actions. They lacked imagery. They lacked everything that you need to get a lead. So the homepage was like a little bit better. We were like, yeah, okay, let's do it. So we were sending people to the homepage, and I can see the results of the ads. High click-through rate. And for those who don't know what that is, how engaged people are with the ad, tons of clicks, lots of traffic. And this is on Google Ads. So we know it's people who are searching specific terms or really good with our targeting that way. So we're getting the right traffic to the website Why are they not converting? It's obviously a website problem. We were able to look at the data. We were able to look at the bounce rate. We were able to look at like the amount of people who actually did become a lead in comparison to the traffic. And we can narrow it down to the website being the main issue. So, okay, what do? We make a landing page.
Yeah.
So we made a landing page, one that you couldn't actually access the rest of the site. People were kind of stuck on that one page because ultimately we wanted that one conversion action, right? The conversion rate ended up going up. So that is an example of when somebody should definitely create a landing page. If the website, you don't have the budget for a new one, you have so many pages that creating one is going to take you 9 months. You need leads right now.
Yeah.
Band-Aid fix.
Yeah.
Landing page.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we recently built a landing page for one of our RTO clients, and I want to explain it in a way that makes sense to people not in that industry, but they have a course, and this particular course, there's different streams that you can go down. You can go down to aging, disability, community service, but it's one course that has these core units, and then you choose your stream, right? People online, and there's really high search volume for the course name without the streams, right? So it's called individual support. But then, you go individual support aging, disability, and then it becomes more specific.
Okay.
What we did was we built a landing page just targeting individual support keyword, not aging, disability, just individual support. And the landing page was centered around educating people on what stream they may want to go down.
Okay.
So it's, certificate 3 individual support, choose your aging or disability stream. And then, so that was the headline, really, really clear about what they can do there. Subheading had some unique selling points of the courses, and then just an explanation in terms of this page is going to educate you on aging or disability so you can make a decision.
Okay.
The content on the page literally did that. It was educational around, this is what the aging stream is like, this is what the disability stream is like, these are the courses, the units that you'll study, the difference in pricing, and then the call to actions were like speak to a course and career advisor. Yeah. So my point here is if you can match your landing page to the intent behind the keywords, then you're also going to see a much higher increase in conversions. Yeah. If we were to just send someone to the website and pick either aging or disability because there's no individual support page that we can send them to as a service page, then the conversion rate isn't going to be as good because it's not so relevant to that point in the process.
So wait, they didn't have the individual pages?
No, okay. Yeah, they have an individual support aging service page and individual support disability service page. But the problem is that some people, they don't know what stream to go down. So they're searching broader keywords that have really good search volume, and they're in this phase of not being sure, but they're so close to knowing.
Yeah, well,
you know what
that's
I mean?
Good for top of funnel, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. That's a great example of when a landing page is so helpful. Yeah. Band-Aid fix.
Yeah, because you can make it specific to what the person actually cares about. Yeah. And that's a really important thing there.
Well, if you think about it, that's not even a Band-Aid fix. That's something that actually has its place, especially in the top of funnel. Yeah. For people who are looking for that education, that's a fantastic resource for them. Yeah. And then having those individual service pages, obviously that is the solution for the more middle or bottom of funnel targeting.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay. Anything else to add to that, Christina?
I'm just trying to think of all the nightmare horror website stories we have.
I think we were talking earlier, and I don't want to lose that because it was really good. It was around lead magnets, particularly on landing pages that are targeting those more like top of funnel, middle of funnel keywords.
Yeah.
Because, on one hand, I do understand the concept of, let's send people to a website, they can browse. It's a long buying cycle, and a landing page is more scarce, right? There's not as much information on there. If people are landing on your landing page, why not serve them with a lead magnet? Even if they're not ready to talk to you, but why not serve them with a lead magnet that hits them at their stage in their buying journey that you can then use later to continue to remarket, email nurture.
You're on the ball with that. I mean, we can actually use solar as another example. We were discussing that, you and I, not long ago. So let's say solar is one of those industries that is more expensive, high ticket item. It's something where your mate would have said, send them to the website. But what if we do have that landing page. We don't need to go full in on sales. Let's say it is top of funnel, but we could utilize lead magnets because these lead magnets are adding value. They're educating somebody who is in that top of funnel mindset, somebody who's looking for information. Think of solar panels. What's the most likely question somebody's going to be asking? What is my government subsidy?
Yeah.
That's the first thing that I'm thinking about when I'm going to buy a solar panel. What's the government going to give me? Let's put a calculator there. Let's put a lead magnet calculator. Or what kind of solar panels would look good on my house? I'm just making these things up. But there's so many things that we could offer somebody in exchange for their information. So when they are ready to buy, we have that data. We can retarget them.
Yeah.
So it does still serve a purpose, a landing page.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen so many instances where landing pages work over websites. Granted, there are those cases where a website makes sense, like we've spoken about, but there's just so many opportunities. If the company has the budget to run it, then I feel like it's a no-brainer.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Christina, I feel like we've covered everything that we wanted to cover. Is there anything else that you want to mention before we wrap?
I mean, the only thing that comes to my mind is the key takeaways here are optimize your website for conversions. And if you can't do that, make sure your landing page is structured in a way that does provide value for those people who are coming in top of funnel, but also is full of urgency and call to actions and trust so you can capture those conversions for people who are ready to convert.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
You mentioned it, test.
Oh, yes, test.
Yeah, just test the two if you're not sure. Send them to do two different destinations, test both and see what works better for you.
Oh, always
your
test.
Answer.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't know how to do that, then we're very happy to roast your landing page or your website.
The new segment?
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
we should do that.
That would be fun.
Yes.
So if anyone's listening and they're not sure about where to send, or if you're not sure about where to send your prospects to, send over the URLs and we'll be happy to roast them and check them out.
Love it. Love it. Keen.
Nice to have you here, Christina.
Thanks so much for having me, Linda.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Inbound Buzz. Learn anything? Return the favor by spreading the word. Want to make your mark in digital? Need help with your digital strategy, inbound, and marketing automation efforts? Then visit redpandas.com.au and be sure to tune in next time for another Inbound Buzz hit.